Okay, what's up guys? Welcome back to bringing you the Vision 2 video. What I've guessed today is a synopsis video of this week's Today game. If you guys did miss the live stream, it was pretty good, I would say. They did talk about some changes, some patch notes, and pretty much all the information around Title Update 3. So I'm going to go over everything. If you guys do enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for my videos, and let's get right into this. Alright, so the first thing they did talk about was actually the PTS. Now, as you guys know, the PTS has been going around for about 3 weeks or like 2.5 weeks, something like that. The PTS is actually ending. They did say this thing will end tomorrow, which is pretty good news, I would say. Obviously, with the PTS ending, that means the patch is around the corner. And that is the case. Yes, the patch is coming out actually next week. So Title Update 3 is releasing next week, but unfortunately, the raid is coming out a little bit after that, which kind of sucks, I would say. But at least it's coming out soon. At least we have a kind of ballpark of when it's coming out. And yes, the raid is still with the Title Update 3, but again, it's coming out a little bit after, so that's that. Honestly, I don't mind it too much. We waited this much already for it, so I'm not really too bummed out about it, but you know, it is what it is. Hopefully, we get to play it really soon. Also, the next kind of big thing they talked about was actually there's no gear score increase for Title Update 3. So again, previously they said that 515 is going to be the max gear score. You can get these items from like PvE missions and the Dark Zone, but they actually went back on their word and they said that they're not increasing it for this kind of update because the raid is coming out and obviously the big changes with like the gear and the talents and stuff like that. So they don't want to pretty much pile everything on top of each other, and the gear score will remain at 500. So that's pretty good news again. I know a lot of you guys were kind of complaining that you're not really, you know, even in World Tier 4 or 3, and they're already increasing the gear score. So this is pretty good news and bad news, I would say. It really depends on what kind of player you are. If you are a veteran, this is obviously kind of bad news because obviously you would have something new to do in the game, grind for better gear and stuff like that. But if you are a new player, then you have enough time again to kind of catch up and be at that 500 gear score kind of mark. So again, gear score is not getting increased in this update. And also they talked about matchmaking, how matchmaking is kind of slow now, especially for like PvE missions and sometimes conflict. So they are making some improvements for Title Update 3. They didn't really list a lot of specific things, but they did say that the servers are getting kind of improvements and stuff like that, and the kind of way matchmaking and stuff is going to work is going to be a little bit improved. Again, not really the biggest news, but for anyone having issues matchmaking, hopefully you will see a difference in a Title Update 3. Now moving down, they actually talked about some patch notes, and by some I mean a lot of patch notes. There is a lot of changes coming. The one thing I will not mention in this video are actually the different talent changes for like weapons and gear. But everything else they pretty much talked about is kind of important. And again, everything is not going to be covered in the video because the video would be like 30 minutes long. But pretty much the most important parts, these are all the kind of patch notes I found to be kind of interesting. So first of all, they are adding new commendations. These commendations will focus on kind of playing the game, not really a dedication aspect that you have to log in every single day, but pretty much if you just play the game, it doesn't matter if it's like once a week or like 5 times a day, you will still kind of get these commendations, and they're meant to kind of like keep you on the game, and you know, as long as you just play the game, you will get these commendations. Also, defensive attributes on gear has been increased, and that goes from like bonus armor, health. Now you can actually get armor percent rolls and more. So they're pretty much trying to make tank builds and survivability builds a little bit more of a priority in Title Update 3. As you guys know, now everyone just specs into damage, like headshot damage, crit chance, weapon damage, and that's pretty much the builds for PvP and PvE. So again, in the future, they're making tank builds and survivability builds a little bit more kind of useful with the higher kind of increase of bonus armor, health, and just other kind of attributes you can get on your gear. They also increased the ammo drop for missions, or just overall ammo drops by NPCs. And I know this has been an issue, at least to some people like doing heroic missions. Like sometimes you're in the first stage of the heroic mission and you're almost out of ammo because the NPCs are not really dropping any ammo for your weapon. So this should be a big of a difference for Title Update 3, and hopefully it solves the issue with you know, everyone running out of ammo constantly. Moving down, they actually made some changes to 500 gear score items. So now when you are 500 gear score, there are more ways to get guaranteed 500 loot, for example, like your weapons and gear, and just not get the kind of lower drops gear score items you're not really looking for. So what they said was, we have increased the rewards for daily, priority, hard, and challenging missions. Once you reach gear score 500, those activities will guaranteed gear score 500 drops. So really good right there. Again, if you are max gear score, you will get guaranteed 500 gear score drops. Also, heroic mission bosses, stronghold bosses, and bounty bosses, as well as control point alert level 4 rewards, containers guarantee gear score 500 items if your average gear score is 500. So again, if you want to farm gear score 500 items doing heroic mission bosses, stronghold bosses, bounty bosses, level 4 control points is the way to go, and these are pretty much guaranteed 500 drops. Also, DZ contaminated loot does not drop below player's average gear score. When you reach level 500 gear score, contaminated loot will guarantee gear score 500 items. And lastly, we balance the loot across the board to reduce the chances of items dropping at a lower gear score than what your character is. So again, if you are a kind of high gear score character in this update, or after this update I should say, you will see loot just overall dropping a little bit higher, and you have kind of more guaranteed ways or kind of options to get 500 items by doing like heroic or, you know, the dailies and stuff like that. So really good news and really nice changes to loot. The next thing we're getting in this update is actually post-missions activity summary. So now whenever you do a PvE mission, at the end of the mission you will get a kind of summary of how much damage you have dealt, how many NPCs you have killed, how much damage you have taken, and pretty much all that good stuff. So pretty cool concept, and I cannot wait to see how this actually works out. The next thing is the NPCs are getting a little bit of a damage buff, and it's not too crazy, it's not too significant, but they did say some NPCs will receive a little bit of a buff overall, so that's kind of good to see. Now moving down, officers may revive you when you are doing control points. So as you guys know now, when you're doing control points, especially when you're solo, when you die, you just have to kind of respawn somewhere kind of close, run back, and you will be able to continue the control point. But now, after this update, these officers that are at those control points whenever you're taking them over will have a chance to revive you, and you know, that's a pretty cool concept, I guess you could say. There's another kind of reason to keep them kind of alive and just kind of protect the officer when doing control points. So if you are solo, if you are struggling of doing like level 3s or 4s, this is a kind of another option. You will have to kind of come back to life, I guess you could say, and be revived. Moving down, Defender Drone will drain more quickly when you're shot at, and this is something that's, I would say, requested by a lot of people, especially in PvP. The Defender Drone is really, really good, and it just overpowers pretty much anything, in my opinion, for PvP. So now, whenever you get shot at, it will drain more and more quickly, so it shouldn't last as long. And also, the Reviver Hive is getting further fixes, and the revive time has been increased by a bit. So this is pretty much another kind of attempt to fix the Reviver Hive. As you guys know, they fixed this a bunch of times, and it's still broken, it still doesn't pick you up half the time. So hopefully, after this update, it is a little bit better, and it's more consistent with picking you up. Now moving down, they did say all exotics damage are being increased, so no matter what exotic you have, the damage on this thing is going to be increased by a bit. There's no really specific numbers or percentages, nothing like that, but overall they're getting a increase. Also, the damage modifier has been decreased in PvP. Pretty much it will take a little bit longer to kill each other in PvP, and you shouldn't be getting melted as fast. Also, the max bag size is now 10, so whenever you're playing PvP, you want to extract your items. If you have all the perks kind of unlocked for the bag size, after it's all unlocked, your bag size is a maximum of 10, which is pretty good. Again, you will have more kind of chances of extracting contaminated loot and just overall have more kind of space in your backpack. The next thing that's coming is less DZ brackets, so pretty much there's going to be a 1 through 30 bracket. If you are level 20 or level 5, you will be in one bracket of the DZ, and also there's going to be gear score brackets, so depending on your gear score, you will be in a different bracket. So this will pretty much fix the issue, or try to fix the issue, of the inactivity in the dark zone. As you guys know now, sometimes when you're in the DZ, you don't really see anyone, there's really no players there. And it's kind of weird, especially for being a really low kind of size dark zone. So hopefully with this kind of change to the brackets, this will fill up the dark zone to make more players kind of be together, and hopefully you will be able to kind of PvP and just do more kind of stuff with other players in the dark zone. Now moving down, the ODZ or Occupied Dark Zone, the XP loss has been decreased. Whenever you die, your XP loss was pretty big, I would say, as of right now, but later after the patch, this thing is getting decreased, so you don't see that much of a kind of decrease of your XP. And then lastly, there's going to be a ton of bug fixes that they didn't really talk about, they didn't really list as of right now, but just overall a lot of kind of audio issues, a lot of kind of gameplay issues, some bugs in the dark zone, open world and stuff like that are getting fixed in this update. So yeah, this is pretty much everything for the patch notes and the different kind of things they did talk about on the state of game. Obviously, all the patch notes are not listed, and obviously I didn't really talk about all of them, but these are kind of the highlights, I would say, of the kind of patch notes. Who knows, maybe some other things will be changed for, for the future, but as of right now, this is what's coming, and this is what we're getting inside of Update 3. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching. If you guys have any questions on the video or just the game in general, let me know in the comments. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.